Good evening and welcome to tonight's episode of Dr. Melissa, Medicine Woman. I am so delighted that you have joined me here this evening. Tonight, we're going to be talking about those sleepless nights and are they being caused by the pills that you're taking? So we take medications to make us healthier, to help change processes in our body. And there are 11 medications we're going to discuss tonight that are fairly common and that could be causing your insomnia. So we're going to discuss those tonight. But first of all, I do want to just let you know that this show and all the content are for educational purposes only, not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or psychological disorder. A specific physician-patient or pharmacist-patient relationship is necessary before any medical therapies are initiated. Please consult your physician, pharmacist, or other qualified healthcare provider with questions about your medical conditions or before starting or using any dietary supplements, herbal remedies, exercise, or nutrition plans. So, who am I? Who is Dr. Melissa? So I'm a wife, I'm a mom, a dog mama. I have been married for 21 years, and I have over 26 years experience in Eastern and Western medicine. I am a pharmacist. I'm your consultant pharmacist. I have helped thousands and thousands of patients to optimize their health, to get rid of medications that is not necessary, by getting to the root cause of the problem, getting rid of medications such those that might be causing side effects such as insomnia, and getting to a better medication or no medication at all, depending upon where you want to be. So my physician friends call me deep prescribers because I do pull off so many medications from so many people. And I am, as I said, your concierge consultant pharmacist. And I'm delighted to be with you this evening to share some common medications that could be causing your insomnia. And the reason I wanted to bring this to you tonight is because we've talked about whole body health and we talk about sleep as being one of those key things, self-care things that we do for ourselves. And when we're laying there awake at night and not able to fall asleep, things are going on. It could be that your brain's not shutting down, or it could be that something that you're taking that's helping to make one of your other processes better, to control your blood pressure, to control your depression, your anxiety, or something else, that one of these medications could be causing your insomnia. And as we go through these tonight, we're going to discuss options about what to do. Now, I do not want you to stop taking anything, okay? We need to have a conversation before you do that, because we need to make sure that if it is appropriate for you to stop the medication or change a medication, that you do it in a safe manner. So one of the first medications I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to talk about a class of medications, they're called SSRIs, or selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. Now, these are a specific type of medication, and what it does is it helps to increase the serotonin in your brain. Okay, and serotonin helps to improve your mood and your sense of well-being. So that's why this medication is very helpful for anxiety and for depression, because it helps to elevate your mood and to help overall well-being. So one of the most common medications is fluoxetine or Prozac. This has been around for a while and is one of those antidepressants that is used. And when people take fluoxetine or Prozac, it makes it hard for them to fall asleep. So one thing that I would recommend is if you are having trouble falling asleep and you happen to be taking fluoxetine, the thing that you can do is actually you could take your fluoxetine in the morning if you happen to be taking it later in the day. So that is one thing. Now, the other thing might be that it might be better for you to switch to an antidepressant that can help you fall asleep. So one of the side effects could be sleepiness. And that could be something like trazodone or Deseril, or even Remeron or mirtazapine. Those are taken, and they're taken later in the evening because they actually make you sleepy. Okay, so That is one medication. Now, the next one falls into a stimulant. All right. Now, when we think of a stimulant, I'm talking about methylphenidate, such as Ritalin. So, Ritalin is used to treat attention deficit disorder, or ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD. And this medication can cause insomnia, as well as ADHD in itself can cause insomnia. So sometimes we have to figure out, okay, what is it the condition that's causing it, or is it the medication? So one thing I would say is make sure that you're taking that medication earlier in the day. You don't want to be taking it later in the day. And then if it happens to just be your overall ADHD, then do things to help calm yourself down before going to bed. Set some routines. We're going to talk about this for all of this. This is good for everybody, whether you're taking a medication that's causing a problem or not. To set some routines, such as a bedtime, wind down before you go to bed. So that's medication number 2. Now, the next one falls into another class of medications, and that's nasal decongestants and oral decongestants. So a decongestant is a medication that helps unstuffy you. Okay, so if you have a stuffy nose, this is often when you have a cold, that you're taking this, such as a nasal spray, such as Afrin or oxymetazoline, or even Sudafed if it's an oral decongestant, or pseudoephedrine. But of course, one of the side effects of these decongestants is insomnia. So if you're taking the decongestant for a short term because you've just got a stuffy nose, you've got a cold, sometimes we just kind of deal with it and put up with it because it helps open up our airways, but we put up with the insomnia for the very short period of time that we need to be on these decongestants. And that's possible. Now, if you have long-term usage where you're having to be on a decongestant long-term for allergies or things like that, then I recommend that you switch to maybe as just a saline nasal spray, because that can help open up your airways, or an antihistamine nasal spray such as Astelin, because that can help open up your airways and it's not going to cause the insomnia. Okay. Now, the 4th class of medications is corticosteroids. Now, corticosteroids, what happens with corticosteroids is the corticosteroids are medications that treat inflammatory conditions. Okay, so methylphenidate, Medrol, prednisone, these are corticosteroids, and they are modeled to help. They're modeled after the cortisol hormone, and the cortisol hormone is the hormone that is produced in response to stress. So when you're stressed, you might find it hard to sleep because your cortisol levels go up. Okay. And that's because stress increases those cortisol levels. Now, when we're giving you a corticosteroid, because what happens is it's mirrored after that increase in that cortisol response, because we want to make sure and decrease whatever inflammatory response we're having. That corticosteroid can cause insomnia. So the best thing is to make sure that you're taking that corticosteroid early in the morning. Now, typically, the Medrol is taken for a short-term time frame. Okay, so it usually you can take it for that short period of time. If you are on it longer, then you want to make sure that you definitely are taking it in the morning. Now, the fifth class of medications is beta blockers. Now, beta blockers are medications that help to treat high blood pressure and also arrhythmias or heart rate. Okay, so a beta blocker helps to reduce your overall heart rate, which then it reduces your blood pressure, and it can be used if you have an arrhythmia or an irregular heartbeat. Now, not all beta blockers cause insomnia. Some of them do, some of them don't. But most all beta blockers can cause nightmares. All right. Now, what this happens because the beta blocker blocks the amount of reduces the body's secretion of melatonin. Okay. So melatonin helps you sleep better. So you have melatonin in your system, and sometimes we give you additional melatonin to help you sleep. But a beta blocker blocks the amount of melatonin that's being released into your system. And so what happens is it can cause insomnia. So sometimes it's best to switch to a different type of medication to control your blood pressure or to control that irregular heartbeat. Now, there's very specific medications for that to control that irregular heartbeat. So you got to be very careful about which medications, and you want to be very careful about any of these medications. You don't want to just stop them, okay, because they can cause serious things such as death if you were to just stop these medications. Now, the next medication I want to talk to you about, we've been talking about these different medications that fall into these treat specific disease states. So we've talked about SSRIs, specifically fluoxetine, which helps with depression and anxiety. We've talked about the stimulants, that methylphenidates, that helps with ADHD. We talked about the decongestants, the corticosteroids, and the beta blockers. So we've talked about different disease states as well as this. So depression, ADHD, maybe just the common cold or severe allergies, and an inflammatory response. So if you have pain, you have inflammation, and a beta blocker, high blood pressure or arrhythmias or a heart rate challenge. Okay, so you need to reduce your heart rate. Now, the next medication, the next class of medication is called a statin. Okay, now statins such as atorvastatin or Lipitor, they are very, very popular these days. Okay, I used to work with a pharmacist that said we should put this medication in the water because we thought it was so great when it first came out. Well, of course, we've discovered that can be some side effects to these medications, and what happens is because there's pros and cons, and with any of these medications, you've got to weigh the risk and the benefits. Okay, what is the benefit of the medication doing for you versus the risk of the side effects and the risk of your condition worsening or the benefit of your condition getting better? So you've got to look at all of these aspects whenever you start a medication or a supplement. And when we're looking at statins, we've heard that statins can cause some muscle pain, weakness, maybe even some dementia, some problems remembering things. But what happens is that some of the statins affect the nervous system more directly, and it makes it so that they're more likely to cause that trouble sleeping and cause nightmares. So if you happen to be struggling with a particular statin, then your physician will usually switch to a different statin if you need the benefit of that medication. And then we can try different ones because they act a little bit differently, just like the beta blockers. They're not all the same. They don't all have that problem of causing insomnia. So if you're having either muscle pain or weakness or insomnia, then we can try you on a different statin if we've just determined that the statin is beneficial for your health. Okay, so that is number 6. And number 7, now we're going to talk about blood pressure again. So another medication class is the ACE inhibitors, or the angiotensin converting enzyme, such as lisinopril, which has been around for a very, very long time. It's Prinavil or Zestril. And also we look at the angiotensin 2 receptor blockers, the ARBs, such as valsartan or Diovan. Now, these 2 medications, they're very, very, very popular. They're one of the first line medications to be utilized to treat high blood pressure. Now, both of these medications can cause insomnia. Now, what happens is if you're having that insomnia, then I would suggest that maybe you switch it to the morning if you're taking it later in the day. And let's try to see, okay, are you having any other side effects? Now, ACE inhibitors are notorious for causing a dry, hacking cough. Now, not everybody who's on them gets that, but that's one thing that's been used. And usually, if you're on an ACE inhibitor and you end up having a cough, we'll switch you to an ARB, okay, such as valsartan. Now, what happens is both of those medications can cause your body's potassium levels to increase. Now, with that, sometimes that can lead to achy bones and muscles, which could keep you awake as well. So that's something to consider, is that it could be that it's the imbalance of the potassium, because potassium it helps with your blood pressure. These medications help to control your blood pressure, and they do that, but they push the potassium out of your system and make the potassium higher. Okay, so what happens is that potassium goes from the inside of the cell out into your blood system. Okay, so it increases and that level of potassium by the way of the balance of the sodium and potassium in the kidneys. Okay, so it's pushing that potassium so it's more readily available, increasing your levels in the bloodstream versus being in intercellular. So sometimes it's beneficial to switch to a different medication if you're having the aches and pains or if you're having the insomnia. We have to look at it and we have to get to the bottom of it. And that's why it's important to have somebody who will help you get to the root cause of the problem and not just pile another medication on top of it. So if you're having those aches and pains, so many times we just tell you to add something. We tell you to add something for the aches and pains. And what happens is we don't look at traditional healthcare, should I say, doesn't look to see, okay, well, what's really causing that? Is it one of your medications or one of your supplements causing that? Is a lack of something causing that? So those are things to think about when you're going through and you start having these symptoms and these problems. So ask yourself these questions. Could it be my medication causing this? Do I need to switch medications? Okay. Now, the next one is the cholinesterase inhibitors. Now, people with memory conditions such as Alzheimer's may be taking a cholinesterase inhibitor, such as Aricept or donepezil. And what this does is it helps by increasing your body's acetylcholine levels. Now, we increase the body's level of acetylcholine. Now, this helps with memory, but not so much for sleep. So very, very beneficial to be taking that earlier in the day. Now we also have to look at the side effects, okay? So what's the benefit of you taking the medication? Can you take it earlier if it's causing you insomnia, or is it gonna cause more side effects? So we have to look at that. Now the next one is theophylline. Now theophylline is a methylxanthine drug, okay? So what that means, it's like caffeine, okay? It is a very old medication used to treat asthma. And so what happens, because it acts like caffeine, that it makes sense that it would keep you awake at night. Okay. Now, if you are taking theophylline, the thing with the theophylline is you've got to get regular levels. Okay. Now, toxicity can occur. Insomnia can be a sign of theophylline toxicity. So you want to make sure that you're getting your levels checked regularly. And if you're having trouble sleeping and you had not been having trouble sleeping, talk to your physician right away or your healthcare provider who's prescribing this for you. If you are noticing any additional side effects, headaches, irritability, increased heart rate, nausea, vomiting, or tremor, you need to get checked out right away. Okay. Now, the the 10th, number 10, I forgot we're doing 11 tonight. Number 10 is your thyroid medication. So a lot of people are on thyroid replacement medication. Now, when your thyroid is not functioning, you can feel sluggish and drowsy and sleepy. And that's when your thyroid is not functioning well. Well, you figure that out. You've gone in and now you're taking thyroid medication to make your thyroid function more appropriately. But what can happen is that this levothyroxine or Synthroid could make you have trouble falling asleep. So it's very, very beneficial to take this medication early in the morning and on an empty stomach, actually, because it's going to work better for you. But if you start having insomnia after taking your thyroid medication, you want to make sure that your thyroid medication, your levels are being checked as well, because sometimes those levels are off and that makes a difference in your insomnia. So we may need to readjust your levels to get it so that it's just perfect and you're not drowsy and you're not having insomnia. Now, number 11, the 11th medication or medication class we're going to talk about tonight is nicotine. Now, nicotine replacement therapies specifically are designed to help you quit smoking. Now, they provide very small amounts of nicotine. But what happens is that there has been studies show that the nicotine patch can cause insomnia, especially if you leave it on overnight. So I would recommend, if you are having that, that you could actually remove that patch before you go to bed. So when you want to be applying a new patch in the morning and taking it off right before you go to bed to avoid having insomnia. Okay, so what are some things that you can do if you are on these medications and you have to stay on these medications, or if you're having insomnia in general? So things that to do, and we've talked about sleep in the past, and be sure and go and check that one out. But we'll make sure that if there's certain medications that are causing it, is it something that we can switch you to a different medication that's going to help control what we need to control for you? Can we change the dose of the medication? Can we get it down to the lowest effective dose that is still protecting you, but not causing those side effects? Do we recommend you add something such as melatonin to help you sleep at night? You know, if you're taking something and you can't get off of that particular medication, and we want to add some melatonin, a supplement. Now, if you are adding a supplement, make sure that you're getting good quality supplementation, because I don't want you throwing your money away. I want you to pay for the medication and get the medication. Now, I do have a way for you to order supplements. If you're interested in that, you can go to my website, drmelissabalizan.com/services. And there is a link for you to go in and you can look at good high quality supplementation, and you can order whatever your heart's desires. And if you have a specific request, then please book an appointment with me at askdrmelissa.net, and we can go through specifically and figure out what is the medication that's right for you. And we can check that out, what supplement's right for you. Okay. Now, I talked a little bit earlier about establishing a bedtime routine. So I would encourage you to set a bedtime for yourself. We do this for our kids when they're young, and we don't always remember to do this for ourselves. So set a bedtime, stick to it, get into a bedtime routine, turn off bright lights and sources of blue light, such as your laptops, computers, smartphones. Keep your room dark, okay? So if you can have blackout curtains, turn the lights down. The darker the room, the better you're going to sleep. Okay. Now, sometimes meditation before bed is appropriate because it helps to calm you down. Listening to calming music, listening and doing a reading that's going to help calm you down. Sometimes taking a bath or a shower can calm you. Now, things that I want to make sure that you try to avoid as extensive physical activity, because especially right before bed, it energizes you. So when you're doing activity, it's energizing you and keeping you in the awake section. And of course, you want to try and avoid caffeine late in the day, because caffeine found in coffee and tea keep you up. They help pump you, give you energy. And so that's going to keep you awake at night. And we want to make sure that you're able to do everything possible in your own power to be able to fall asleep at night. Okay. Now, when you're looking at these things and you're looking at sleep and you're looking at self-care, I do want to offer you the ability to buy the Whole Body Health program. Now, Whole Body Health is a way of looking at, it's a digital program, so it's all digital just for you, helping you in all aspects of health, physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional. So there's ways in there that guide you through the process. And then if we want to later on, we can look at your medications and your supplements specifically to figure out what is best for you and help you optimize your medications and supplements, like I have for thousands and thousands of patients already. And if you're interested, I have a special offer just for you. So if you want to go to drmelissabalizan.com/TV, drmelissabalizan.com/TV. And on there is a special just for you can buy the Whole Body Health package. So I hope you've enjoyed tonight's lesson about the medications that may be causing you insomnia. Please be sure and take a look. Talk to your friends. Remember, you only get one body. You only have one health. Take care of yourself now and sleep well. Have a good night.